Hi everybody and welcome back to Rocco Baby Crochet. I hope you're all well and you've had a great week so far. So today's quick tutorial, I'm just going to go over the differences between three stitches. The three stitches are all from the same family and create a similar look, but they're very different in the technique we use to create the stitch and also their appearance when you look at them more closely. So the first sample we're going to look at is this grey one here, which is the puff stitch. Now this is the smallest of the three stitches, and if we have a little look closely at it, you can see the surface of this puff stitch is quite smooth. It just has strands of yarn going across diagonally, but the top and the surface of this puff stitch is quite smooth. It does create a thick, dense fabric, but it is the thinnest out of all three of the samples I've done. The second one is this pink one here, and this is the bobble stitch. And if you have a look at the surface of this bobble, it's got a lot more texture and is more interesting than the puff stitch. And we'll go through the technique of how we create that texture. It's sort of the middle thickness and density of stitch is the bobble stitch. And the final sample we've got is this purple one, and this is the popcorn stitch. This is the thickest, it's the largest, and it has the most texture on the surface of this popcorn stitch out of all three of the stitches we're going to run through today. So if you do enjoy these tutorials, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It'll mean that you don't miss out on the next tutorial or free pattern, and it just supports what we're trying to do here on Rocco Baby Crochet as well. So grab your hooks, grab your yarn, and let's learn the different techniques we need to create these three different stitches. Technique that we're going to learn is how to create the puff stitch. So I've just done a foundation chain of 10, skipped one and done 9 double crochets across for row 1, just for a little sample to show you the technique that we use. So if you was doing a full row of these puff stitches, I would recommend that you chain an even number, skipping one, which means you'll have an odd number of stitches. So you'll be starting and finishing on a double crochet, which will give your work a little bit of a border to it and a nice neater finish. So when I start to do the puff stitch, you're going to chain one and turn your work, and into the very first stitch we're just going to place a double crochet. So don't forget that I use UK terminology, so in the US these are single crochets, and in my second stitch is where I'm going to pop my first puff stitch. So to create the puff stitch, what you want to do is yarn over and insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So you've now got 3 loops on your hook. We need to do that a total of 5 times. So we'll yarn over again, insert the hook back into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up another loop. So that's twice we've done it, and we've now got 5 loops of yarn on the hook. Yarn over again, back into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So that's the 3rd time, and you've got 7 strands of yarn on your hook. Yarn over again, back into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up another loop. So that's the 4th time, and you'll now have 9 strands of yarn on your hook. Yarn over, insert your hook. This is the last time, the 5th and final time, pulling up a loop, and that will mean that you've got 11 loops on your hook at this point. So to finish off the puff stitch, all you want to do is yarn over and make sure your hook is pointing down so you can pull through the stitches smoothly, and just pull off all the loops that are on the hook, just like that. So it can be a little bit difficult to get your hook all the way through these stitches. You want to make sure that you're not holding your tension too tightly and that you can just pull that yarn through. So sometimes that can be an issue. Other times, if we don't rotate our hook fully downwards and we try to pull it through, we're going to be catching on these stitches here. So the next stitch along, we're going to pop a double crochet in there, And then let's show you again. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over again, into the same stitch for the second time and pull up a loop. Yarn over, back into that stitch for the third time and pull up a loop. Yarn over, the fourth time into that stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over, and for the fifth time we're going to go into that stitch and pull up another loop. So there's a lot of loops on your hook. So yarn over and pull through all of those loops. Then you place a double crochet in your next stitch along, and placing that double crochet just makes your stitch pop out on the other side. So when you're doing the row of puff stitches, your work will be wrong side facing you and right side facing away from you. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook and pull up a loop, total of 5 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Yarn over and pull through all of those loops. Didn't want to pull through then. It can be a little bit tricky when you've got so many loops on your hook. And then a double crochet in the next stitch. So let's just do one more. So yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert my hook and pull up a loop. So that's 2, yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, 3, yarn over, insert my hook and pull up a loop. So that's 4, yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop. So that's 5, yarn over and pull through all of those loops. And then if you have chained an even number, you'll be finishing on a UK double if you do a full row of those. So that's how we create the puff stitch. And that's what it looks like. This is a double knit and this is an Aran yarn. So this is using a 4mm hook and this is using a 5mm hook. So there's quite a big difference. Sometimes if you use a really chunky yarn, it will be difficult to do the 5 pull throughs and pull up the loops. Sometimes I'll leave that at 4 pull throughs, so I've got in total 9 loops on the hook at the end of the puff stitch if I'm using a particularly chunky yarn. But for most yarns I will insert my hook and pull up a loop 5 times. Next, let's learn the technique we need to create this lovely bobble stitch. So again, I've done a foundation chain of 10, skipped 1 and placed 1 double crochet all the way across. So I've got row 1 is 9 stitches long, and then I'm just going to chain 1 and turn my work. Into this first stitch again, I'm going to place a double crochet, and then into this second stitch is where I'm going to pop my first bobble stitch. So again, the bobble stitch will pop out on this side of the work, so we've got the wrong side facing us. And what you want to do is you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So just like you would do if you was making a UK treble, and then you're going to yarn over and pull off 2 loops, which leaves you with 2 loops on the hook. Instead of finishing off this stitch like we would do with a treble, we're going to yarn over again, go back into that stitch, pull up another loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2. So now we've got 3 loops on the hook. So we're going to do this in total 5 times. So that was our second time. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook back into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, which leaves me with 4 loops on the hook. And that was my third. So for my fourth, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook back into that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2. So I've got 5 loops on my hook. And for my fifth and final one, I'm going to yarn over, go back into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2 strands of yarn on the hook. And at this point you'll have 6 loops on your hook, and what you want to do is you're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 of those loops, and then you can double crochet into your next stitch, and when you place that double crochet into the next stitch, you'll see that your bobble stitch pops out on the other side. So let's do that again. Into the next stitch, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over, back into the stitch for the second time, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, back into the stitch for the third time, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, insert my hook for the 4th time, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on the hook, 5th time, yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. So I've now got the 6 loops on the hook that I need, yarn over and pull through all of those loops, then place the double crochet in the next stitch along, which will push your bobble stitch out. So again, insert yarn over, insert my hook and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert my hook back into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert my hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert my hook, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through all 6. I've just got one more and then that's the end of this row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then I'll just yarn over and pull through all of those and a double crochet into my very last stitch, chain 1 just to tie it off, and there we go, that's the bobble stitch. Finally, let's look at the technique we need to create the popcorn stitch. So again, I have chained 10, skipped 1 and done 9 double crochets across for row 1. So I'm just going to chain 1 and turn, and again, just the same as before, we're going to place 1 double crochet into this first stitch. So into this second stitch along, what we want to be doing is placing 5 treble crochets into that 1 stitch. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarning over, pulling up a loop. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2, and that's a treble crochet, and we need to do that 5 times. So there's 1, so there's my second. So I'm yarning over, inserting my hook, pulling up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the second 2 loops, and that's my third. Yarn over, insert my hook into the stitch, pulling up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, that's 4. Yarn over, insert my hook back into that stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. So you've got a little bit of a fan shape now going on, and what we want to do is pull yourself up a nice long loop when you finish that 5th treble crochet, and we want to join these together. So the first and the last one we're going to join together. So if you need to count backwards, so you're counting the V's as the top of your stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is our first treble crochet here, and you want to pop your hook from back to front through the top of that stitch, and then back through the loop that we just pulled out when we finish the 5th stitch, and pull it tight on your hook again and pull that loop through the first treble crochet, and that's how we do the popcorn stitch. So into the next stitch we're going to place a double crochet, and into the next stitch we're going to place another popcorn stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, a total of 5 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Pull up a nice long loop so you don't lose it. Don't pull too tightly on this yarn here, else it'll pull your loop back through. And then you're going to insert your hook into the very first treble that you did from back to front. Remember, if you need to, count back the stitches on the top. So once you've put your hook through the first treble from back to front, pop the loop back on your hook and tighten up that loop and pull the loop through the very first treble crochet. And then you're going to place a double crochet in the next stitch. Obviously you can space these out as far apart as you want to. I'm just trying to show you on this sample how we would secure the last part of the stitch. So again, treble crochet 5 times into the same stitch. So that's 2, 3, 4 and 5. Pull up a long loop, insert your hook into the top of your very first treble you've done in that cluster from back to front, and pop your loop back on your hook, tighten up that loop, and then you're going to pull the loop through the first stitch and then a double crochet in your next stitch. So my last one, so again 5 treble crochets. So don't forget I use UK terminology, so in the US these are double crochets. So that's my 3rd, 4th and my 5th. Pull up a long loop, insert my hook through the top of the first treble crochet from back to front, pop the hook loop back on the hook and pull that loop through the first stitch. Finish off with a double crochet in the next stitch along. I've just chained one to tie off this yarn, and that's the popcorn stitch. So we've got the popcorn stitch, we have got the bobble stitch, and we have just learned how to do the puff stitch. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you found it useful and helpful. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you have, and I will see you all real soon. Take care and happy hooking. Bye.